So tonight we're starting a new special called Terry Speaks Truth with my dad, Terry Swales. So our first question tonight is from a viewer. And so what were 3 examples of when you really knew that you were a weather geek, you were into weather?
I'm glad you asked that question, Eden. It actually started at a very tender young age. I was, I'm guessing probably 6, 7 years old. And I remember seeing The Wizard of Oz on TV and all fired up for it. My mom had set us on the couch and said, watch this great show coming up here, and was thinking we'd be pretty entertained. And of course, instead of all them flying monkeys and everything, the thing that got me was when the tornado came. And I just got really jacked up about that. And then I started grabbing the many books and things as I could to learn more. Unfortunately, back in those days, there weren't very many pictures of tornadoes, very few books. So it was pretty lean pickings. But I knew at that point there was something special about severe weather in particular. Okay? Got another question for me? Same thing? Number 2, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another example of when I really started geeking out. I can remember I started watching the weather on television, and this was way back in the day. You only had 3 channels, and there was no barely color TV at that point in time. And so I always wanted to watch all the different weathermen, and I got to figure out after a while that some are better than others. And so I'd be in there, because there weren't any clickers, cranking that channel around to see all the different weathercasts that I could, which was about impossible because they all pretty much came in at the same time. But I did learn early that there was one guy that was a real stud, and his name was Conrad Johnson. He was like my idol. And so I'd go out and play like a normal kid in basketball, baseball, football, whatever the season was. We had all kinds of kids, and we were always doing something. But my mom would yell out, okay, 6:10, weather's about to come on. And so I'd have to stop the game, and I'd come in for 10 minutes, watch the channels, click it all around, and do my geeky thing, and then, I was right back into the action outside. But that was a pretty young age there.
What'd you think of that, Eden?
What a nerd.
Okay. All right, huh? See? Paid off for me. All right, and then here's something else that I thought was pretty wild, too. I got to the point where I was really starting to dig storms. And we lived on a hill, and you could go up about 3 houses and get on the top of the hill up there, and there was a little park, and on top of that was a slide. And I got as high as I could up there on the slide, and would stand up there and watch the storms come in. And they would, lightning be flashing and thunder and everything, and there I was in the wind, just like, ooh, here she comes. And I was doing that for, most of the summer, and then finally one time, a wicked bolt of lightning came down and hit, and I mean just to the right of me. Now, when you're at the highest point and there's lightning, what generally tends to happen?
Yeah.
What?
You get my life.
Yeah, you get zapped. And that was a realization for me at that point that, maybe I ought to try my vantage point a little bit lower, so I was a little more skeptical after that. Now, one other big episode here, and this is really tied to where I am at today. This came back when I was probably about 9 years old, and we were on vacation, my family and I, in Colorado, and we had a little trailer that we pulled, and my sister was with me, who was 2 years younger, so she was probably about 7, and we were on our way home, and we left Colorado, and we're in the car, and of course, there's nothing but AM radio back in those days, and no way to entertain ourselves. So I did happen to hear on the radio, way back on the east side or eastern part of Colorado, that there was some storms developing. And so as we started moving across Nebraska, I could see the storms behind me, and on the radio, they would start putting out all these warnings. And there was tornado watch, and there was tornado warnings, and we could see the storm just coming all the way. So we finally tracked this all across the state of Nebraska. And my sister was sitting next to me, and I'd tell her, "It's going to be a whopper, man. We're going to get rocked. You just wait." So we got all the way to about Omaha, Nebraska, and everybody's burned out, so we decided that we were going to pull in. So we get to this campground, and we pull in with our trailer, and it's nice and flat there, which it usually is in eastern Nebraska. And it just kept getting darker and darker, and I'm still writing down stuff, all these warnings, and I tell my sister, this is it, she's coming in, and we're here, this is the end of it. Well, about that time, they come running out of the trailer place there in the campground and said, there's a bad storm, guys, you might want to take shelter, you can come on inside if you want to. Well, of course, what do we choose to do? Stay outside. So when the storm started to get really bad, we got into the car instead of staying in the trailer because we thought that might be a little bit safer. And we are in the car, and all of a sudden that thing hit, and our car is shaking, and the wind is blowing. You can't hardly see across the road. The next thing I know, one of these little pop-up trailers across the way from us started rolling across the road in front of us. And at that point, my sister is screaming her lungs out. She thought that was it, because I had really primed her that it was going anyway. So she was going crazy. But anyway, we really went through a wicked storm. And after it was over with, the whole campground is just trash. The trailers are down, rolled over, tents are torn up. There's people walking around in a daze. And the cornfield behind us was completely flattened. 100-mile-per-hour straight line winds. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, that was fantastic. Let's do it again while everybody else is completely freaked out. So that, I think, was when I first got my inkling that storm chasing might be something that was really something I should do at some point in my life. I never did it, though, until many, many years later, but that one really sticks in my